Hello, music fans. You're watching Death by Unicorn, where we talk about metal, rock, and prog music. And this is my favorite metal album of 2025 in every subgenre of metal. Although that's probably a bold claim, I'm just going to talk about 15 subgenres. I know that people could really slice and dice the genre however they like and come up with hundreds of different ones. Well, I'll cover 15. If you want to see which genres I cover, check out the description where I'll list them. And let's jump right in. Hope you all had a great Christmas. And I'm continuing my year-end content run, which is probably going to spill over into January at this point because I still have so many videos I want to make. I made a video like this for rock, so if you want to check that out on my channel, that's there. And of course, I've already put up my top 25 albums of the year overall and done a few lists of top 10s for various subgenres. But here we go. Let's start. We're going to go in alphabetical order by subgenre, starting with alternative metal. And for that one, my favorite alternative metal album of 2025 is Deftones with Private Music. And of course, they bring in a lot of that shoegaze and post-rock and dream pop into their alternative metal. And they're a very unique band. Check out the track My Mind is a Mountain for a preview of this album. This is the 10th album by Deftones. They're an American band, and I love all their albums. They never miss, and they hit it out of the park again with this one. Another near masterpiece. I gave this one my near masterpiece rating. It's very similar in sound to all their other albums. But that's not a bad thing to me because I love all their other albums. And I saw them live this year with System of a Down and Polyphia, and that was amazing. And my favorite tracks on the album, besides My Mind Is a Mountain, which is a great opener, my favorite, I think I also love Ecdysis, Souvenir, and CXZ, and I Think About You All the Time, which is a beautiful, slower song. So check that out. That's Private Music by Deftones, my favorite alternative metal album of 2025. Now let's jump over to Avant-garde Metal. Sometimes similar genre to progressive metal, but a little bit more about being weird than about having complex song structures and time signature changes and technical virtuosity. It's about pushing boundaries and going in places that a lot of bands don't go. And for this one, I have Imperial Triumphant with their album Gold Star. Now this one's avant-garde, but it's kind of technical, kind of black and dissonant death metal with jazz fusion influences. Check out the track Lexington Delirium for a preview here. This is the 6th album by Imperial Triumphant. It's another American band here. They are very unique. They're interesting. They wear costumes. And if you're a fan of bands like Garia and Blut Ost Nord, I think you might like that, like Imperial Triumphant, but add some more death metal and jazz influence into those bands. I also really enjoyed Imperial Triumphant's last album, Spirit of Ecstasy, from 2022, which had some cool guest spots from Snake, the vocalist of Voivod, Alex Skolnick, the guitarist from Testament, and Kenny G, the saxophone legend. This new album, Gold Star, also has some cool guest spots with Dave Lombardo of Slayer fame doing guest percussion parts on a track, and Thomas Hawk of Meshuggah on 2 tracks. This is mostly just intense, weird, experimental, brutal music with all harsh vocals, but the title track is a 1-minute old-timey barbershop quartet sounding song right in the middle of the album, which is kind of a neat way to break it up. And the outro on the last track of the album, Industry of Misery, reminds me of the outro on I Want You, She's So Heavy by the Beatles. The Beatles, who I have right here on my wall. And that's a song by the Beatles that I love so much. So I assume that was an intentional nod to that track. But yeah, my favorites at the moment are Lexington Delirium, which features Thomas Hawk, which is probably my favorite, and Hotel Sphinx. Great album. Gold Star by Imperial Triumphant, my favorite avant-garde metal album of 2025. Check it out. Now let's go over to black metal, and if you've watched my top 10 black metal albums of 2025 video on my channel, then you already know what my pick for this will be. So go watch that video if you want to hear more black metal picks. But it's, of course, Havukrunu with Tavastland. And this is melodic black metal. It's got some folk, it's got some atmospheric vibes, even sometimes almost traditional heavy metal influences in there. And I love the title track, Tavastland. This is their 4th album, and Havukrunu is a Finnish band. And I also love their last album from 2020. And yeah, they're just a solid band. They continue the excellence from their last album on here. And, you know, black metal is not really my main genre, but I've been getting into it more lately. And this is one that I think could help convert people into black metal fans. I tend to like the more progressive and cinematic black metal music. Even though this isn't the most progressive black metal out there, it definitely has some progressive spirit. 3 of the songs are over the 6-minute mark in length, and one of them's over the 10-minute mark in length. And the guitars are really melodic. And in addition to typical black metal shrieks, there is some melodic singing here from Havukrunu. It often sounds like group vocal chants. For this one, all of the song lyrics and titles are in Finnish, so I'm not going to try to pronounce many of them. But and the great thing about this for me, compared to a lot of black metal, is the production on here actually sounds great. It just has great atmosphere, great folky vibes, and it remains true to the core black metal sound with the fast drumming, tremolo picking guitars, black metal shrieking vocals. But I love that it doesn't sound like it's just been recorded in a cave through like terrible equipment, like some of the really raw stuff that I'm not really into that sound. But yeah, must hear for black metal fans, something I recommend to people even if they don't usually like the genre, because it's one of the best bands of that style. I think it's easier to get into them, especially if you like more progressive rock and progressive metal music and other styles of metal like I do. Check out Havukrunu's Tavastland. Now let's jump over to doom metal, and for this one I have Avatarium with Between You, God, the Devil, and the Dead. That's my favorite doom metal album of 2025. This one's doom metal. It's got a bit of prog rock, psych rock, stoner rock, and occult rock. Check out the track Until Forever and Again for a preview here, and the riffs on this are just amazing. Kind of remind me of Black Sabbath. This is their 6th album. Avatarium's a Swedish band. I had also heard their 5th album before. I thought that was excellent. Really strong female vocals here. Avatarium was founded by the Candlemass songwriter Leif Edling, but he's no longer part of the band. It's epic. It's dark sounding. Check this out if you're a fan of Black Sabbath, Ghost, and Blue Oyster Cult. But imagine if those bands leaned a bit more into the progressive side and had some more symphonic and ambient elements. Also, if you like Catatonia and Oceans of Slumber, except you don't get any screaming vocals here. Just nice, beautiful singing. The guitar solo as well on Notes from Underground was amazing. So it's kind of like Black Sabbath instrumentals with amazing guitar solos and amazing female vocals. Really awesome stuff. Avatarium, Between You, God, the Devil, and the Dead. Take a swig of water here. There we go. What genre is next? So that was doom metal. And that one I'm giving my excellent tier rating. I forgot to give my tier list, tier ratings here. Havukrunu is excellent tier, Imperial Triumphant excellent tier, and Deftones near masterpiece tier. Now, how about groove metal? For this one, I've got Mowiza and their album Ul is how it's spelled. This is kind of progressive doom metal. It's got some metalcore, alternative metal, and death metal influences in there. And Mowiza is a band from Chile. This is their 3rd album. They're an indigenous metal band from the Mapuche Nation, a group of indigenous inhabitants of the south central Chile region and southwestern Argentina, including parts of Patagonia. And they started their career with a different band name, actually, called Nunca Seremos Dicosos. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. They used that name on their debut album, but then they changed their name to Mowiza, and the band sings in another language, not English. It's Mapudungun is the language, which is their ancestral language. And I've never heard of any band singing that language. Maybe there are others, but it's definitely a first for me. So big thanks to Seasons of Mist album for putting this out and sending me a promo so I could listen to this one. They collaborate here with Gojira frontman Joe Duplantier on their track called Ti Inan Pa Pakan. So check this out if you're a fan of Gojira or Soulfly. It kind of sounds like that with some indigenous charm to it. So very cool, very groovy metal that's very unique. Check out Mowiza Ul. I gave it my very good tier rating, and it's my favorite groove metal album of the year. Although, I'm not counting stuff that I consider more progressive, like Byzantine. Their album's kind of like progressive groove / thrash metal, which I love and would probably give my favorite. But it's kind of hard to figure out where to draw the boundaries. That might be prog metal. Now, how about heavy metal? Traditional sounding heavy metal. I didn't listen to too much of it this year. There was one that was pretty cool that I thought I would give this spot to, which is Volbeat with God of Angels Trust. Now this one's heavy metal. It's got hard rock. It's got a bit of groove metal and also some rockabilly influences. They have a pretty unique sound. I gave this my very good tier rating. Volbeat's a Danish band, and this is their 9th album. And I also thought their last album was very good. But I was hoping they could outdo their last one with this. The whole album here is really solid, but it's a bit safe, kind of unremarkable, unfortunately, but lots of great riffs and vocal hooks. If you're a fan of bands like Metallica and Ghost, but you want to hear some riffs getting like pretty heavy, almost going towards Mastodon, but the vocals here remain very clean, very polished, very produced the whole time, no sign of harshness, very accessible, kind of very good gateway for people into metal, kind of accessible radio rock style metal almost. Very good album, but not one that I expect I'd go back too much. I contemplated maybe I should have given Ghost this spot for just the heavy metal, but I almost didn't consider the Ghost album from this year metal at all. It's almost more on the hard rock side. And you could maybe almost say the same about this Volbeat one. But I think some of the riffs are pretty heavy, though some of the Ghost riffs are too. So maybe an honorable mention here goes to Ghost, another one of my very good tier, which, if you counted as heavy metal, maybe should have had this spot. But Volbeat, God of Angels Trust, I think deserves a shout out for heavy metal. Now let's talk about Mathcore. For my favorite Mathcore album of 2025, we got Callous Dowboys with I Don't Want to See You in Heaven. And this one's in my near masterpiece tier. It's just awesome. I love it. And this is, of course, Mathcore. It's got some metalcore, post-hardcore, emo, maybe alternative metal influences. Check out the track Schizophrenia Legacy for a preview here. This is the 3rd album by Callous Dowboys. They're an American band. And really everything they've done so far has been excellent. But I think this is the best album they've ever done. They have the ability to be as catchy as Fall Out Boy and as heavy and chaotic as Dillinger Escape Plan. They can do both well. And I'm going to be a lifelong fan of theirs now after this. I like every track on here. My favorite's Schizophrenia Legacy, but I also love Two-Headed Trout and Idiot Temptation Force. Really every song is great though. So if you like Mathcore, check out Callous Dowboys with I Don't Want to See You in Heaven. My favorite Mathcore album of 2025. Now let's jump over to Metalcore, and for that I've got another near masterpiece tier 1, and this was a debut album by a German band. It's Via Nova with Hit It. This is kind of progressive, but not quite progressive enough for me to categorize it in the progressive metal genre. I think it still fits more in metalcore. It's progressive metalcore. It's got a bit of djent, alternative metal, funk, and pop influences. Maybe, arguably, this one should be in the prog metal category because it's got some really genty rhythms. The guitar playing kind of reminds me of Periphery and Corellia, and they've got some wild genre switch-ups reminiscent of the release I was previously talking about from the Callous Cowboys, and soaring high-pitched clean vocals that remind me of those bands, plus Protest the Hero. Also some harsh vocal moments. The track Whatever All Right is probably my favorite track on the album now, but it sounds like it could be played in a club with some EDM backbeats. It's almost got like mumble rap vocals, but then just a wild gent breakdown and harsh screams to end the song. So that's a pretty cool adventure if you want to hear how unique they could be. Check out the album Hit It by Via Nova, my favorite metalcore album of 2025. Post metal is next. And for that, I have Astronoid with their album Star God. And this is progressive post metal. Again, not really progressive enough to call it a progressive metal album, though it maybe kind of is. I still kind of feel like it fits more into post metal. They've got their shoegaze, their prog rock, their black gaze, their dream pop, their synth pop, alternative metal, and thrash metal influences in here. Astronoid's another very unique sounding band, and this one's a near masterpiece. Check out the track Third Shot for a preview here. This is their fourth album, and I just love this band. Astronoid, they're an American band, very unique sound, very melodic vocals, somewhere in between dream pop and emo, but they have more of this progressive post-metal style of composition with black gaze and thrash. Third Shot is just a beautiful single that they released from the album. The whole album has great catchy vocal hooks, all clean vocals on this album, so no screaming to worry about here. Great atmosphere, great emotion, great guitar riffs, even a bunch of killer guitar solos too. There's synths, which is cool. There's moments that remind me of Devin Townsend, Deftones, Deaf Heaven. Their ability to combine the big chunky metal with atmospheric beauty. Some moments remind me of 80s pop, hard rock, arena rock, hair metal, with anthemic vocal lines and flashy guitar solos, and some moments remind me more of emo and pop punk like Blink-182. And there's moments with this simple, slow 4/4 pop drum beats, but also moments of blast beats and progressive drumming. Just very captivating sound, full of earworms. Definitely makes me want to keep listening to it again and again. So my favorite post-metal album of 2025 is Astronoid with Star God, a near masterpiece. Now let's get on to progressive metal, my favorite genre. So the vast majority of my top 25 albums of 2025, vast majority of them are prog metal, and my favorite is Between the Buried and Me with The Blue Nowhere, and they're pretty much my favorite band, so this is maybe to be expected. And it's progressive metalcore. It's got technical death metal influences. Check out the track Absent Thereafter if you want to hear an awesome track where they do some like almost like country style bluegrass guitar playing, which is awesome, and mixed in with their metal. This is their 11th album, Between the Buried and Me, as an American band, and they've been in the running for my favorite band of all time ever since 2007's Colors, which is definitely my top 5 albums, maybe top 3 albums of all time, maybe my number 2 or 1. I don't know. It's hard to pick. But yeah, they're my number 1 band now. Every album they put out has been a masterpiece, except maybe their debut, where they were still finding their sound. Even that I'd call a near masterpiece. They're just one of the most exciting and adventurous progressive metalcore bands. BT Bam has just the most impressive musicianship and compositions, performances, and they put on a great live show too. I saw them live this year. Their last album, Colors 2, was my album of the year for 2021, and they maintain that quality again. I think it's possible it's on par with Colors 2. Hard for me to pick whether it's better. It might even be better. So yeah, this was my easy album of the year, masterpiece tier, Between the Buried and Me, The Blue Nowhere. They blend genres so well. They're quirky and fun. They're unpredictable. They blend genres like country, southern rock, blues, industrial pop, alternative, and even radio rock, in with their intensely heavy side that blends metalcore, death metal, even some parts bordering on black metal. And it's great that they can have moments that are so catchy and anthemic and undeniably good even for non-metal listeners, but then have some of the most extreme, brutal metal intensity all in the same album. Great blend of clean and harsh vocals from Tommy as usual, amazing guitar from Paul and bass from Dan, and Blake is on fire on drums. They don't have Dusty anymore on this album, but that's completely a non-issue as far as their composition and quality of their output is concerned. They're still as strong as ever, even without Dusty in the band. So check it out. My favorite prog metal album of 2025 is The Blue Nowhere by Between the Buried and Me. Another swig of water here. 5 genres to go here. Next, after progressive metal, is melodic death metal. And for this one, I've got Buried Realm and their album, The Dormant Darkness. Now, this one's kind of progressive, kind of technical, but I think still belongs more in the melodic death metal side because the riffing is very melodic. Check out the track Jaws of the Abyss here. I'll give you a good preview. This is their 4th album. Buried Realm is an American band. If you're a fan of Allegiant, Soilwork, The Black Dahlia Murder, and The Faceless, check this out. It's like a mix of those bands. Really great stuff. My favorite melodic death metal album of 2025 is Buried Realm with The Dormant Darkness. Now, how about sludge metal? There I have my pick is, oh yeah, what about, I missed the tier for Buried Realm, didn't I? Excellent tier for Buried Realm, The Dormant Darkness. Sludge metal, I've got Trudger with Void Quest, and this one I'm putting excellent tier as well. And it's got some death metal influence. Check out this track, Battle Hardened. And Trudger's a band from the UK. This is their 2nd album. I never heard their debut, but I saw that the 2 guitarists in this band used to be in the band Dune, which is a band I love, so that's what got me excited for this. Check this out if you're a fan of Dune and Mastodon, but imagine the sound of those bands with even more brutality and harsh vocals, and a little bit less prog, but there's still some sprinkles of prog influences. My favorite tracks are Battle Hardened and Sleep Purge. Check out Void Quest by Trudger for some great sludge metal. Now for symphonic metal, I've got Epica with A Spiral, and this one I'm giving my very good tier rating. And this is symphonic metal. It's got some prog metal, power metal, alternative metal, melodic death metal in there too. Check out the track Darkness Dies in a Light, A New Age Dawns Part 7. So that was my favorite on the album so far at this point in time. And Epica's a Dutch band. This is their 9th album, and I'm not a huge fan of them or of symphonic metal in general, but I do think this is a band that I tend to enjoy in that genre. Like, you know, them and Nightwish, or Epica and Nightwish are kind of the big symphonic metal bands. So I've been enjoying some of their stuff. I thought their most recent EP, The Alchemy Project, was also very good. And I enjoyed this album more than I thought I would. It's my favorite track there, Darkness Dies in a Light, A New Age Dawns Part 7 is just great. Great guitar riffs, great harsh vocals, great female clean vocals, and many other tracks on the album are great too. So while this didn't blow my mind enough to put them on my favorite bands list or anything like that, this makes me interested to hear more from Epica in the future. So even from someone who doesn't like symphonic metal, I really respected and enjoyed this one, A Spiral by Epica, my favorite symphonic metal album of 2025. Now let's talk about technical death metal with my favorite album here is a near masterpiece from an American band called Allegiant, and the album is called The Ossuary Lens. This is technical melodic death metal. It's got prog influences as well. Check out the track Driftwood for a preview here. This is Allegiant's 7th album, and I love all their albums. I really thought the last one Damnum from 2022 was also a near masterpiece. And it's hard for me to decide if this one's as good as their last album, but it's very close. The guitar playing is amazing. The songs hit with intense brutality in the vocals. So check this out if you're a fan of the Black Dahlia Murder, but you want to hear an even better, more technical, more progressive version of that band, kind of going towards the sound of the Faceless. They also have moments with keyboards and clean vocal hooks, like on the third track, Driftwood. So if that sounds good to you, check out my favorite technical death metal album of 2025, Allegiant, The Ossuary Lens, a near masterpiece. And last subgenre on my list here out of the 15 that I'm talking about in this video is thrash metal. And for that, my pick of 2025 goes to Sodom and their album, The Arsonist. This is a very good tier album. Thrash, again, is not like my main genre or anything, but something that I love when it's done well. This is their 17th album. Sodom is a German band. They've been playing intense thrash metal since the 80s. And I don't know their whole catalog that well, but I've liked some of what I heard from them. They're just solid, fast thrash metal with harsh vocals. Even some moments remind me of like hardcore punk or crossover thrash on this one. If you like thrash metal, I think you're going to like The Arsonist by Sodom. Check it out. And that's it for my favorite metal albums in each of these 15 subgenres. Hope you found something new here to check out and get into. What do you think of my list? Let me know down in the comments. And what would you pick? What are your favorite albums in each of these subgenres, or at least the ones that you're interested in? I don't know if everybody's decided their favorite album in all of these subgenres like I have, but I'm curious to know if you agree with my picks, if you would pick different bands. I'm always interested in finding new music. So let me know about that down in the comments. And if you like rock music as well, check out my very similar video to this that I put up right before this about my favorite albums in each rock subgenre that I did. Now, I've also done my top 10 black metal albums of 2025, my top 10 metalcore / mathcore, my top 10 post-hardcore punk and hardcore punk, my top 10 instrumental albums, and of course my big top 25 albums of the year. And next in this year-end content run, I'm thinking of doing either my top EPs of 2025 or maybe my top albums of 2025 that aren't metal, rock, or prog at all. It could be an interesting one. And then I need to start thinking about January. January is almost upon us, and I want to think about what I'm going to listen to there and let everyone know what's on my radar. But I'm still not really done talking about 2025. I want to talk about my favorite live albums, probably make a favorite progressive rock albums video, favorite debut albums, and favorite prog epic tracks. So I mostly talk about albums, but I'd love to also talk about tracks. If you have other ideas for video topics, also let me know down in the comments. Always looking for great ideas. But that's kind of what I'm thinking about for wrapping up my 2025 year-end content run. And if you like metal, rock, and prog music, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you can stay in the loop on when I post these videos. And I'll see you next time. Peace out.